To bring in Fox News political analyst and author of We the People, the modern-day figures who have reshaped and affirmed the Founding Fathers' vision of America. Juan Williams is here on set. Juan, good to see you.
Good morning. How are you?
Great. What's your take on all of this?
I think we have a major clash coming on the Gorsuch nomination, and it's not because, as we were just discussing in the break, because of Gorsuch's qualifications. He is eminently qualified. I ran into him when he was in the Bush Justice Department. He's the kind of person that you would view as trustworthy. So, and his background, having clerked for Justice Kennedy, Justice White of Colorado. So people know him, like him, and especially in conservative circles. But obviously, given the context, which is that Republicans withheld even allowing hearings, much less the vote on Merrick Garland, who was President Obama's nominee, to replace Justice Scalia. And of course, Justice Scalia, I guess, died now almost a year ago. So it was a year period in which Republicans obstructed any effort by President Obama and the Democrats to fill that seat. You have an attitude now in place, and it's reflected by Oregon Senator Jeff Merkley, who says that is a stolen seat, and he refuses to be complicit.
Oh, give me a break. Give me a break, Juan. I mean, look, this is my prediction. This is exactly why the Democrats will lose more seats in 2018. Because look what you just said.
Yeah.
People like him. People respect him. He is definitely qualified.
Yes.
And yet they're playing politics again.
But of course, you said you could say the same thing about Garland. All is true. Garland sits on the D.C. circuit.
Wait, let me finish. I said this the first thing this morning. The word stolen is ludicrous and absurd. The Republicans controlled the Senate. They controlled the Senate last year, and they still control the Senate today. It is their right and prerogative, because they have more seats than the Democrats, to not move on Garland, and they made that choice.
I don't think that the United States Congress gets to ignore their duty and their job and responsibility on either side. So the question really is, look, the United States Senate should have moved President Obama's nomination. That's their job. That's what they were elected to do by the people in their districts. Vote the person up or down.
Correct.
Simple. Easy to do. By the way, let me finish. And the question here is, does one bad deed deserve another? So I think that the Democratic Party, somebody's got to say, wait a minute, let's move on.
They don't want to get any work done.
And moving our country forward. Maybe the Democrats have to turn the other cheek and say, we're going to give this man a fair hearing, a fair process, and vote based on his qualifications, and let's turn the page on partisanship.
2 words, grow up. Grow up. How about grow up?
And there's no question, by the way, on Twitter last night.
Mark Cuban said that?
Yeah, he went in, I mean, it was like multiple tweets that he went into. But he's like, obstructionism was everything wrong with Ted Cruz, McConnell, and the Republicans. And he said, this is what Trump and Steve Bannon want. They want the Democrats to do this because they're just going to point to them, demonize them, and see they hate you in progress. He's like, you should come to the table and do a deal and get something in return, is what Cuban.
Or they'll lose more seats in 2018.
That's why it's President Donald Trump right now. It's not President Ted Cruz. Obstructionism was voted against. People wanted compromise. People wanted to come together, a new day in Washington, and Washington to work for them.
I don't think that Republicans lost anything for their obstruction. They did very well in the elections in November. So obviously voters did not punish that. Let me just finish this point. Democrats at this point want to see their politicians show some fight, especially after what happened on the immigration front. You have the Justice Department now. I mean, Sally Yates been thrown out.
Well, I'll tell you who got punished.
You have people who are filing cases in the states that are going to end up at the Supreme Court on this immigration issue, and you're stacking the deck against the Democrats.
The voters punished the Dems because of all of President Obama's executive orders and Harry Reid's obstructionism. That's what happened. Because they were sick and tired of it, so they said, you know what, I'm voting in Donald Trump.
You're like a wrestling referee says, oh, I only see what this guy does wrong, but I don't see what that guy does wrong. So I appreciate your point. I think it's time for all of us to grow up and get rid of the dysfunction, especially in the Senate. But the question is, where does it start? And why do you say to one side, okay, you guys grow up, but you guys, you're free to kick and scream and cheat and do anything you want?
No, because Harry Reid was obstructionist so much during the 8 years. You can't deny that one.
I'm sorry?
Harry Reid kept getting in the middle of legislation and not even allowing it to get to the president's desk.
Are you kidding me? You should check out what Mitch McConnell was doing. Mitch McConnell, in fact, said right from the start, my job is to prevent this guy from having a second term. That's how obstructionist he was.
Harry Reid invoked a nuclear option.
As he was being sworn in, the day I was actually on another network covering the inauguration, and then went to the inauguration. As I'm going over there, I'm listening and hearing the Senate leadership saying their job is to stop him and make sure he doesn't get a second term. But that doesn't make it right for the Democrats to do the same thing.
Harry Reid gave the Republicans a playbook in case Democrats don't get on board with the Gorsuch nomination.
That's what I was trying to say.
Because in 2013, Harry Reid changed the Senate rules, invoked the nuclear option to eliminate the possibility of filibusters on judicial nominees and executive nominees.
Not
period.
Supreme Court.
No.
It doesn't matter. It's the same thing. That's why they punishing them.
Be careful
You're
what you wish
parsing
for.
words to the point that it's absurd.
It's
the same thing. You change the rules.
It's a different level, and it's treated in that way.
Oh, now the Democrats get religion on the Senate rules.
By the way,
Give me a break.
again, if they open up that door and change the rules, then that's what it will be from then on. And the Republicans will not be the majority in the Congress forever. It will change.
That's why he's careful.
He's reluctant to do that.
Because he could find himself as a minority leader sooner than he thinks.
Who's going to offer an olive branch? Well, at a time when you have a very polarizing president taking provocative actions on many fronts, it's hard then to say to the Democrats, hey, guys, step back. We have to act in the best interest of the country. I think everyone on this panel agrees the best interest of the country is a functional national government. I think the markets have been reacting lately to the idea that, boy, there's a lot of chaos out there. So we want a functional, stable government. But it's hard to say to one side, oh, you guys step back. Let the other side just run.
So what do you want to say
rampant.
to Chuck Schumer about the stalling tactics in all of these confirmation hearings?
I don't see them as stalling tactics. I see them as proper vetting. I think even the ethics office has said we have questions, and we want the questions answered before these folks are rushed through.
What specific questions?
About their finances. Yeah, we can go to the very top. We can get Trump's tax returns if you're interested.
Tom Price has undergone 35 days of committee vetting, which is twice as long as both the Health and Human Service Secretary.
Well, maybe he shouldn't have been selling stocks in pharmaceuticals and other medical device companies while he was in the Congress.
Decisions made by his broker.
And by the way, for a long time, trading stocks in Congress, which was incredible, was actually legal.
But which
I thought was ridiculous when it was legal.
Maria, look at your face. You think this is ridiculous. Why should we have allowed this?
I thought it was ridiculous.
Thank you.
No, you're absolutely right.
I think
but that was the law. I mean, it wasn't one-sided.